So now we identified three parts of human beings. I'm happy with that. And I've identified that at least your mind one and your mind two have a long-term component and a short-term component. With regard to the mind, right? Your short-term component creates the framework that you function in. Now just think about that. The framework has been maybe identified by some people as, they will call it maybe the matrix. But let's focus on the word framework. What I found over time is that when I wake up in the morning, sometimes it's like a blank slate, like I spent years with God, figuring things out, learning things, writing about it. And it was a strange thing that information just isn't there when I wake up. And then like sometimes I'll spend like days or weeks or maybe even longer doing things and then figuring out what I already learned before. And I'm like, but I already learned this before. Why am I learning it again? How come I just don't remember it? And that further adds evidence to this, to what I have identified as the short-term part of your memory, right? Where that creates this framework that you function in. And all of us function in a framework, multiple frameworks, or a set of frameworks, which is essentially our world view. For example, like if you are in, say, high school, that's your framework. And in that framework, you have your different variables: how you study, who your friends are, what your daily tasks are, and how you are perceived as a person, the kind of knowledge you have access to, the way other people perceive you based on how you function in that framework. That will be a high school framework. And then if you're involved in sports, that can be another framework, but then also they interact with each other. And what I'm saying is, what I've found is that when we function in these frameworks, that gets created in our short-term memory or our RAM, but it doesn't necessarily mean in that framework you're always going to remember what's in your hard drive. Sometimes you might find a situation where you end up making certain decisions, or even and like I said, come to the same realizations. Hey, didn't I learn this before? Why am I doing the same thing again? Things like that there. All right, so that's just a taste of what the short-term memory and the long-term memory is. And like I said, you create frameworks, and different people in different walks of life have different worldviews, meaning they function in different frameworks. Yeah, I mean, you have good people, you also have evil people, meaning how they mainly function, and then everything in between. And they function in their framework regarding the variables involved in those frameworks. So you have short-term memory. Framework is created, or multiple frameworks are created, but the short-term memory has a limit, meaning you only have so much of space that can be created in that short-term memory for you to function in. And even though it sounds very simple, if you realize when you break down your day, you wake up and then you perform certain functions in certain areas, the day goes sometimes very quick, and then at the end of the day, and you sleep and you wake up and repeat. So you function in those frameworks because, you have certain barriers, certain areas of protection, those kind of things, certain actions that have certain reactions, certain things that are required, certain things that are not required in that framework.